This week carries far more intensity, not because everything happens at once, but because something fundamental begins to shift. Welcome back to Libra Rising, where guidance from the stars meets reflections for the soul. Let's take a look at the astro-weather for the week ahead. The week opens with the first quarter moon in Taurus, the first point of action or adjustment following the Capricorn new moon. This phase often brings friction, not as a challenge, but as feedback. Something about the intentions or commitments made earlier may now require effort, choice, or correction. This is where theory meets practice. Midweek marks one of the most significant transits of the year, and truly of the decade. Neptune moves into Aries, beginning a new 14-year cycle. Neptune dissolves, spiritualizes, and blurs boundaries. Aries initiates, asserts, and defines identity. Together, this transit begins a long-term reimagining of identity, leadership, courage, and what it means to act with faith rather than force. This is not an overnight shift. It's an opening of a new era. Themes of inspiration, confusion, idealism, and awakening may begin to surface, especially around questions of purpose and self-direction. Shortly after Neptune's ingress into Aries, Mars forms a powerful conjunction with Pluto in Aquarius. This is intense, focused energy. Mars represents action and desire. Pluto represents power, transformation, and what lies beneath the surface. Together, they ask for a deep reassessment of how power is used, both personally and collectively. This transit can bring control dynamics, buried motivations, and the need to act with integrity rather than compulsion to the surface. This is not energy that you use to rush or dominate. It's energy you wield consciously. With the Sun, Mercury, Mars, and Pluto all active in Aquarius, the focus remains on collective systems, social structures, and future paths. This week may feel charged, catalytic, or emotionally activating, especially for sensitive nervous systems. The work here is not to understand everything immediately, but to stay grounded while larger currents shift. This week doesn't ask for certainty. It asks for awareness. We are crossing a threshold into unfamiliar territory, and the most important tool now is conscious presence. Change is underway, and how we meet it matters. Before we move into the tarot, I want to share a quick orientation for this reading. While the astrocast for this week focused on the first quarter moon and the early momentum of this new cycle, the tarot we're about to explore is looking ahead to the full moon in Leo happening on February 1st. If you'd like additional support around the first quarter moon at the beginning of this week, you can revisit the tarot reading from last week's Libra Rising forecast. Today's cards are about illumination. A Leo full moon brings emotional truth into the spotlight, especially around identity, expression, courage, and the desire to be seen as we truly are. For this full moon, I asked the tarot to reveal how this energy may move through the body and nervous system using a 7-card chakra spread. And for those who feel called to go deeper, I will also be releasing a full moon in Leo meditation later on this week to support integration and emotional regulation around this lunation. At the root, the 7 of Swords points to adaptive survival strategies. This card often reflects moments where we've learned to stay safe by staying quiet, strategic, or emotionally guarded. Under a Leo full moon, this can illuminate where we may still be protecting ourselves in ways that once helped, but may now be limiting our sense of grounded security. The body remembers what it took to survive. This card asks us to notice those patterns without shaming them and question whether they're still necessary. At the sacral chakra, the 7 of Wands reflects energetic defense. This is the tension of holding your ground, protecting what matters to you while feeling challenged or tested by outside pressures. Here, the full moon may stir questions around creative ownership, emotional boundaries, and the right to take up space. The invitation is not to fight harder, but to recognize what's worth defending and what no longer requires constant vigilance. At the center of personal power, the solar plexus, the Knight of Cups brings sincerity and emotional truth. This card softens the intensity of the lower chakras by reminding us that confidence doesn't have to be aggressive to be authentic. The Knight of Cups acts from the heart, guided by values, meaning, and emotional resonance. Here, power is reclaimed not through dominance, but through alignment with what genuinely matters to you. At the heart, Temperance offers alchemy. This is the card of integration, blending opposite needs, emotions, or identities into something sustainable and whole. Under a Leo full moon, Temperance reminds us that authenticity doesn't require extremes. The heart's wisdom lies in balance, allowing passion and patience, expression and restraint to coexist. At the throat, the Five of Wands reflects friction and expression. This can show up as competing voices, internally or externally, and the challenge of being heard without escalating conflict. The full moon in Leo may illuminate where expression has felt contested or chaotic, or where speaking your truth feels risky. This card invites conscious communication, choosing expression that clarifies rather than inflames. At the level of insight, the third eye, the Ten of Wands reveals mental overload. Too many responsibilities, too many expectations, too much being carried alone. This full moon may spotlight where the mind has been compensating for a lack of support or clarity elsewhere. Awareness here is the beginning of relief. Not everything you've been holding onto is yours to carry forward. At the crown, the King of Swords brings calm authority. This is clear ethical leadership, the ability to see truth without distortion, and to make decisions rooted in wisdom rather than emotion alone. After the chaos, defense, effort, and overload below, the King of Swords offers perspective. This is the full moon's gift, mental clarity that cuts through confusion without cruelty. Together, these cards trace a powerful arc. Survival strategies at the root seek acknowledgement. Boundaries in the body ask for discernment rather than defense. Emotional sincerity restores personal power. Balance returns to the heart. Expression becomes conscious. Mental overload is named. And clarity rises, steady, principled, and calm. This full moon doesn't demand performance. It asks for authentic authority, the kind that comes from knowing who you are, what you carry, and what you're ready to release. Before I move into the reflection for this week, I want to share a brief note about an upcoming shift in the rhythm of Libra Rising. This will be the final weekly forecast on the channel. Beginning next month, Libra Rising will be moving into a monthly astrology forecast, along with 2 meditation videos, one for the new moon and one for the full moon. When I started this channel, part of the intention was exploration, learning what it takes to create astrology content consistently, to experiment with video production, and to see what kind of container actually supports this work sustainably. That exploration has been valuable. I've learned a great deal, creatively, technically, and practically. And I want to continue offering this space as a place for reflection, insight, and practice. But I'm also learning something equally important, that meaningful work needs a rhythm that honors time, energy, and capacity. Shifting to a monthly format allows me to stay connected with this project without asking it, or myself, to carry more than feels aligned. This isn't stepping away from Libra Rising. It's a step towards attending to it more intentionally, as a creative practice, a portfolio of work, and a space I genuinely enjoy returning to. With that in mind, this final weekly forecast feels like a fitting place to pause, reflect, and look ahead, especially as Neptune prepares to begin a new cycle. Neptune moves slowly. Its cycles mark chapters, not moments. As this 14-year chapter comes to a close, I find myself looking back and forward at who I've been and who I'm being asked to become. At the beginning of this current Neptune cycle, I was younger, disconnected from myself, and living a life that looked stable on the surface but felt deeply misaligned underneath. I didn't know how to protect myself or how to live life on life's terms. Midway through this cycle, everything fell apart. There was loss, there was surrender. There was a moment when I realized that continuing as I was no longer an option. I didn't know it at the time, but that collapse became a vow to stop directing harm inward, to learn what it meant to be gentle with myself, and to choose life in small, stubborn, imperfect ways. And that's what the last several years have been. Not a dramatic transformation, but slow, consistent reorientation, showing up again and again, learning how to be a loving presence to the one person I used to treat with the most cruelty, myself. Now as Neptune prepares to enter Aries, the question feels less like, who am I healing? And more like, who am I willing to be? Aries asks for courage, for identity, for action rooted in self-trust. And I'll be honest, that feels scary. Because this chapter doesn't ask for more inner change. It asks for engagement in the world again, for visibility, for relationship, for participation, and for someone who has learned through experience that people can be the most dangerous terrain of all, that threshold is not entered lightly. So as I stand on this energetic threshold, feeling anxious on the edge of this new cycle, aware of how far I've come and still unsure whether I'm ready, I ask the anxious parts of myself this: do I need to be finished? Do I need to be perfect? Do I need to be fearless? Or do I really only need to be willing, and to keep choosing life, one honest step at a time? Neptune's move into Aries isn't asking us to rush forward blindly. It's asking us to act from truth, to let who we are becoming guide what we do next. As you move through the days surrounding this transition, you might gently reflect on the following prompts during journaling or meditation. First, who am I becoming as this new cycle begins? Not who do I think I should be, but who feels truer to inhabit right now? Next, what patterns, identities, or ways of relating am I ready to loosen as I step into something new? And lastly, what would it look like to move forward with courage that is rooted in self-trust rather than urgency or fear? Let these questions be companions, not conclusions. You don't need all of the answers to take the next honest step. As an anchor for this threshold moment, you might carry this mantra with you. I release fear that I must be fully ready before I begin, and embrace hope that clarity will meet me as I move forward with integrity. As this final weekly forecast comes to a close, we stand at the edge of both an ending and a beginning. Neptune's shift into Aries reminds us that long cycles don't end with certainty. They end with readiness. Readiness to act from a truer sense of self. Readiness to choose courage that's informed by experience. And readiness to step into the world again, thoughtfully, consciously, and on our own terms. As Libra Rising moves into a new rhythm in the months ahead, the invitation remains the same: to listen carefully, live honestly, and let alignment guide action. Thank you for sharing this space with me, for reflecting, questioning, and witnessing these thresholds together. Until next time, may you trust the courage that's quietly growing within you. May your next steps be guided by truth rather than fear. And may this new chapter unfold with clarity, compassion, and grace.